Early, really early. Today's the first day we're actually wearing full pads, and we'll get to thud. That means when you say thud, you're not taking anybody to the ground, any of that stuff. I think we've done a great job with our strength staff, and Sharon has done a nice job of starting to ramp up as we go. It's not just you go out there and you start playing football. You start ramping it up. The coaching staff defensively, who you guys know I love and I think it's the best in the world, they've done a great job initially just starting off. Every year you start off down at the foundation. You tear it down. Doesn't matter what happened in the past or anything else. You take the defense and, you start from the foundation and build it back up. And that's the same thing as a football player too. So what are we working on right now? Fundamentals, from stance, start, technique, steps, tackling. We'll do takeaway drills, all those things that you see, early, probably in everybody's camp. But, we're taking our time as we do this. And, I told you all last spring about our depth. I think we have more depth. And, we'll see where it all ends up here. I know the next time I'll have more answers for you than what I'll have now, probably. With that, I'll open it up with questions.
When we spoke to you at the beginning of spring, it seemed like you were still mixing and matching with the secondary. Do you feel like you've got guys pulled into certain spots?
No, we're still mixing and matching. You know what I mean? Youth, experience, everything else. So it's a great competition. Love the talent that Lamar and Stokes and B-Hawk they've brought in, and so there's going to be great competition in that room. And to be honest with you, we need to get some of these younger guys ready to go because our lack of depth there at corner, especially. But it's always exciting when, as a coach, to just see where it all comes out, and everybody's got the same chance. It's like we haven't even posted a depth chart yet because you don't need to. We divide them maize and blue because of the bridge program and all that stuff, but there's going to be great competition really at every position, everywhere on the defense.
You mentioned quarter. Is Zeke going to be there, and who else is fighting for a role there?
Yeah, I think you just find out when we go. I mean, it could be one guy one day, and then all of a sudden somebody that you're thinking he might be a year away or 6 months away or 2 months away, whatever, and all of a sudden he runs off 4 practices in a row, and you're like, it's just like I tell the players. I've never coached with anybody, an assistant coach, that didn't want to play the best players. And that's what training camp's about. And that's what's so exciting if you're an old school football coach. That's what's exciting about training camp is just see these guys go. So nobody's crowned, to answer your question.
On the left there, John.
Obviously, you haven't seen the results on the field yet this fall, but is there a look test when you haven't seen these guys on a day-to-day basis since spring?
Oh, yeah.
How are they doing in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest jump you see is when you go on vacation, and I took my vacation. And when you come back and see him, a guy like Cole Sullivan has completely changed his body just walking around. And you can see it going through drills and doing all those things. For example, there's a lot of guys, and I don't want to stand here and list them. I was just using him as an example. When I first come here, he was a 17-year-old kid, that was supposed to go to his prom and graduation, but he was here playing, in spring ball. And you've seen him develop since.
Isaiah.
A lot of depth and particularly in the front. How when you look at how some of those guys did in the Alabama game,
Mm-hmm.
the ones that were able to come in and get kind of not their first experience, but
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Meaningful
yes, like
game on the line reps.
How have you seen that kind of maybe influence what they've been able to do so far?
Well, I think it builds a confidence in all of them, And the thing is, as a coach now, you're saying don't rest on that because that's over with. We had and I'm going to get a maize and blue hat, have a day, because like Coach Moore, we talked about in the first meeting our goals. I said we're not talking about them anymore because tomorrow's not promised, let's have the best day we can have. And I also like the show. Bob does sports, golf creators, all those guys, you know, Grant and the Bryan brothers and all that. And I saw those hats, and I'm like, really, that's what it's about. Just having the best day you can have today. You know, we have a long football day today with our walkthroughs and meetings and you know, all those things of that nature. And then we finish it with a practice this evening. So, you know, it's been fun. It's early. I'm glad I wasn't here. I'm not here next week. I probably won't be as good a mood as I am right now. But today we get to thud and actually play some football. So I'm excited about that.
The 3 transfers up front, how have they kind of acclimated in Trey Damon and Troy Bowles?
It's like they aren't even transfers you know what I mean? The players here and the kids here, it is a family atmosphere, and they take in everybody that transfers, and it's fun to watch that part. But you know, there's a thing that, you know, anywhere you go when you get a transfer in, if he's a really good player, they bring him in a lot faster. You know, so it's a lot of fun to see those guys and the way they handle it, you know, his teammates. Okay,
Anthony?
I guess the edge guys behind Derek Moore and TJ Guy. I mean, who are you most excited to see, you know, with pads on?
well, I mean, like Cam's a bruiser, you know, and really you can mention TJ, you know, Demo, and Cam as all starters. Just like at linebacker, you could say Aaron, Jay-Sean, and Jimmy. Okay, so you know, Cam, I knew it. You know, he's gotten better. He looks better, and he looked good last year. So he's just going to keep getting better. You know, obviously Dom, you know, is you know, he's probably his stronger suit is pass rush, and we're still developing him as a run player. And you know, we have some other younger guys that are stepping up, and what we'll always do is we'll play the best 11 when it comes to, you know, game day. And you know, defensively, you know, I think our best goal that we talked about, you know, and the players were talking about it, is that you shouldn't be able to tell what 11's on the field. And you know, and that's a goal that we're striving for. We're not there. We're not even close to being there yet, but we will be.
Ryan?
With having another marquee non-conference game in week 2 this year, is there maybe more emphasis on ramping up quicker and getting your guys, the guys you want out there, ready earlier in the season?
I think that's a question for Sharon. You know what I mean? I don't want to get on my soapbox about that, but you know, there's a lot of things that you look at that, you know, everything you want to happen fast. You know what I mean? But you just don't know how fast it's going to happen. It becomes naturally. You know, we got 6 away games. When's the last time we've had 6 away games? All right, so we can break a record. If we went on the road, we can break a record. You know, when's the last time we didn't have back-to-back home games? So there's challenges besides who's playing where and how well they're playing and everything else that you put into this. That if you look at it realistically, you know, the reality is it's going to be a tough road to hoe, no matter who you're playing. And so it's exciting for the kids or I shouldn't say kids, young men, and they're willing to and ready to accept the challenge.
I know it's over a year away, and I don't think it's finalized yet, but what are your thoughts of potentially playing in Germany?
It doesn't matter what I think about that. It really doesn't. I used to, back in 20 years ago, think that I'd have the answer for that, but I'm not in any of those meetings, and I don't know what's happening, so it doesn't matter what I think.
Alejandro?
How different does this training camp look like for you and your staff, given the continuity you guys have from last year compared to?
I mean, we enjoyed ourselves last year. It's this is a great group to be around as far as coaches. You know, when you say staff, and you know, all the assistants that are helping out as well. And you know, it's just we've known each other for a year now, so it's, you know, it's a lot. You know, when you go back to high school and you hang out with your buddies again, it's fun. That's the way it is when you come to work.
John?
What's Rod Moore able to do at this point, and what will he be doing throughout this camp?
I mean, I could give you the BS answers. He's right on schedule. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, he's right on schedule. What's the schedule? I don't know. No, but he's looking, like he should, because the way he's been working his tail off, and when he's ready, I talked to him the other day. I don't want to do it too soon. I want to make sure you're ready. So whether it's put him in bits and pieces whenever he's ready to go, or go, you just don't, we'll see it. But he looked good today in the walkthrough.
Angelique? When sort of piggybacking on what Ryan said, would you be in favor of like a preseason game or exhibition game, something like that?
Well, are you talking about like what Dion was talking about in the spring? We go against another team. Mm-hmm. In the spring, I don't know. I just don't know. Where this game's going to go collegiately. You know what I mean? You like them when you're in the NFL, and you play 17 games on top of it. And that's just to give them live reps against somebody different, because that's the biggest thing is you have to, when you're evaluating your own players right now in practice, it's also who they're going against. And you got to try to specifically, and our guys do a great job of that, coaches do, of giving them reps. If you got a younger guy that's whipping the third team tackle's butt, let's get him against the second team. And then let's get him against the first team, and that takes time with that. So, like, if you had a preseason game or two, that would be fun as well. But, that's not I'm not in those meetings.
And also, if I could follow up, you've had a little bit of time now working with Chip, and what's your relationship?
Oh, Chip's a great dude. He's a great guy. We get along. We play golf together.
Who wins?
Well, you can ask him that. Matter of fact, I'll give you the golf course. You can ask him that. We'll see if he's telling the truth. Okay, when you ask him that, say, did you hit any nanners? He calls a dead slice a nanner, which that sounds country as country could be, right? Oh, I hit a nanner. I said, nanner? I've never heard it called that. All right, so all summer I was saying, I hit a nanner.
But how important is it for the offensive and defensive coordinator?
Well, I think it's very important, and it's most important to the players because they see it. You know what I mean? And and it's not just me and Chip; it's the entire staff, defensively and offensively, and it goes under the complimentary football file, if you will. And I think that for us to have a successful season, we're going to have to play complimentary football. It's going to take all three phases for us to have success, because of the youth that we have and everything else. But, that's the exciting part about getting ready for the first game. We'll see where we're at.
Aaron?
What's your expectation for Derek Moore this year? He felt like he didn't have his entire maybe tool bag last year, and maybe it took a while for him to come on.
I think Derek, I don't think he gets enough credit for what he does and the work that he puts in and the value to the team. He does a lot of the hard stuff. He and Cam both, they do the dirty work, if you will, and he's healthy and he looks good, and we keep him that way.
Sort of piggybacking off of Angelique.
Got a lot of piggybacking.
I know we're getting way down. But sort of a question about Chip and the offense. I know you say you're just putting the pads on today, but in what you have done, I wonder if you feel like your secondary and defense as a whole is maybe getting tested more through the air.
It's way too early to even. You got a really good quarterback, and you got some other guys that are battling for it. So, that's different, but. It's not schematically anything that we haven't seen. It's good stuff. I'm not evaluating the offense. I'm evaluating our stuff. It's good stuff, but, we work together. If he says, hey, I need to see this, I'll call it, and the same thing, he'll do the vice versa for me, And, right now we're scripting practices, and I just want to know the down and distance, personnel, and Ash, and we have at it. And then he'll, there might be a period that he wants – after, right now we're doing the fundamental 4. We did it 5 in the spring, if y'all remember, where we just did front and coverage, 4-man rush and coverage. So we're doing that for 4 practices, and then we'll start using our pressures and different things and get more into the stuff that we do all the time. This is great for us though, because it gets back to what I was telling you. We're teaching tackling and, you know what I mean, and takeaways and all that stuff right now. But it'll be fun as it goes.
Do you have any, I mean, the defense was great last year, obviously. Is there any, as you look back, is there any?
All depends who's looking about it and talking about it.
But is there any, like, one area you want to improve, maybe like pressures or takeaways or anything, like, what did you want?
You want to improve on everything, and it's, you know, you're playing a lot of different teams, you know what I'm saying, and it like I said, it takes complementary football to help you improve. You know, one of the things wherever I've been and we've played good defense, you know, one thing we've had that no one's going to talk about, we had a damn good punter. In Baltimore, we had Sam Cook, you know, and to play good defense, you need a good punter. And, you know, to set, you know, to pin them back, to flip the field and all that, for example, that's complementary football. I'm saying you're all working together with that.
Got time for a few more. We'll start on the left, Isaiah.
TJ Metcalf seems like a bit of a versatile piece that doesn't get talked about too much. What have you seen from him, and how good can he be?
I think he's going to be really good, you know, and he is versatile. You know, we're going to, you know, we'll probably play more personnels, different types of things this fall, Josiah and Isaiah, but he's like he's been here for 2 years. You know, I mean, when you see the kid, I know you guys have already interviewed him. You're impressed with his maturity, and so am I. You know, I think he's going to do a lot of things that are going to be fun to watch.
Right here, Zach.
Just how important is having someone returning like Ernest, who's been in the program for a while, going into this fall camp, just with his leadership?
Well, I think it's of utmost importance. It's you know, I can't describe how big it is. It's, you know, you develop relationships with players, and, you know, as a defensive coordinator, it's like an offensive coordinator does with his quarterback. And, you know, I think that he understands what I'm calling, while I'm calling it, because we have those conversations. And if you ever just want to do a story on somebody, do it on Ernest. He's a fascinating young man that's seen a lot and done a lot, and you know, outside of football, I talk to him. I tell him wait till it gets boring in training camp, and I want to find out about his trips, his different trips that he did this summer, because it's just crazy some of the stuff that he told me from the last time he was over there.